Call to order the meeting of the Board of Supervisors for Monday, January 18th. And if you would all, we'll start with a roll call with Linda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was wondering where you were going.
I was going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's all right. You're one step ahead.
Supervisor John Stavenis.
Here.
Supervisor Chuck Tice.
Here.
Vice Chairman Dan Wolfel.
Here.
And excused Supervisor Tony Hain and Chairman Leo Zipperer.
Thank you. And now we'll do Pledge of Allegiance, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As usual, we'll start with our meet and greet and find out who's all here. And we'll start with Linda on my right.
Linda Wake, Clerk Treasurer for the Town of Sevastopol, residing on Bluff Court.
Chuck Tice, Supervisor from Bay Shore Drive.
Dan Wolfel, Supervisor, Bark Road.
John Stavnes, Supervisor, Whitefish Bay Road.
Jim, would you like to start over there?
Okay, Jim Newton, 440, Rip Road.
Greg Coulter, Stark County Soil and Water Conservation Department.
Dick Wyman, 4108, South Country View Road.
Carl Schultz, 3955 Glidden Drive. I was just mentioning to John before, I think I'm the only one who ever met in the old town hall. And now we meet here. What a pleasure. Also, this is probably the finest town hall in Wisconsin.
Oh, thank you.
It has more amenities.
Good.
Aesthetically, it couldn't be all that fine art. I assume that belongs to the town board.
Leo did all of that. That's why he's not here tonight. Behind you, Carl.
Richard Burley, Glidden Drive.
And Kathy Sullivan, Bluff Court Trail.
Kathy. And as usual,
Last but certainly not least, Laddie Chapman, Glidden Drive. Hi, y'all.
thank you, Laddie. Okay, public participation would be next. If there's someone here that would like to speak on a specific topic, or if there's something on the agenda, I could let you talk at that time if it's appropriate. Jim?
Yeah, I didn't put it on the agenda, but I have some questions about the project that was started last summer, late last summer out my way.
I'm at a loss in terms of where that went.
Well, Leo was in on it,
Right.
and you want me to talk on it now or later?
Well, I don't have it on the agenda here, so we can't take any action on anything anyhow, but I mean, if it's something that you want to refresh our memory on, you're welcome to do so for a few minutes.
You want it right
Yes.
now?
I said, yeah.
Well, here's the issue. What I want to know is what is going to happen with that project out there. It was started late last summer, and was never completed. And right now we're sitting with a water problem with two different housings out there, two different residents out there, and we gotta get this thing cleaned up. Now, what I would like to do, if we can't settle it here, what I'd like to do is have the board get a hold of a DNR water specialist to come out and give us the way to go. I got a route to take, but if nobody wants to listen to me, then I think it's time to get a DNR specialist in to let him lay it out and see where we can go with it.
Okay, now that you've refreshed my memory, I didn't know which of two things you were referring to. And I think I have to defer that really to Leo. I'd be happy to give him a call on your behalf and see where it stands, but he was the one that was working it, and since he's not here, I can't answer for where he left it. But I'll be happy to follow up on it and find out. So,
Okay, well, let's go from there. I was advised to get a lawyer on this thing a good 6 months ago. And I just don't see a lawyer should be coming in on it. We got a counsel right here for our township. I mean, he ought to be able to give us advice enough on that to settle it without me getting a lawyer and having a whole mess going on, just like they got downtown. You know, this is an issue that we can settle ourselves. We don't need lawyers doing it.
Okay, well, I'll find out from Leo, get an update, and then we can decide what course of action to take in the next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I wanted, so I'm
You're
gonna say
gonna leave
goodnight.
us? All right,
Just to give you an update on 10F when we get there.
okay, that's fine. Anyone else want to speak now, or is there something on the agenda that you want to address? I'll let you do so at that time. Okay? All right. So, with that, let's move on to the agenda. Linda, I assume the agenda was properly noticed?
It has been.
Well, that's good to hear. And we would need a motion to adopt the agenda as
I'll
is.
move that we adopt the agenda as printed for January 18, 2016.
I'll second that.
Motion by Chuck, seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, motion carried. All right. Next would be the approval of the minutes from the Board of Supervisors meeting from December 21st. Any changes, additions, corrections? If not, a motion to
That we
approve.
approve the minutes for December 21st, 2015.
I'll second that.
I think we're going to have a lot of firsts and seconds. Motion to approve the minutes by Chuck, seconded by John.
People are dropping.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. All right. Financial reports, you have in front of you the budget versus actual, January through December. You also have the transaction list by date. I signed some healthy checks this week for over $1 million for giving out some of our tax dollars to various entities like the school and other places. You're welcome, Dick. It's okay. Any comments, Linda? Any questions from the board? Anything, Linda, on your end?
No, the January through December budget versus actual, that's pretty complete for the year end, 2015. We may have a snow plowing bill or two, but otherwise, that's pretty much the bottom line for 2015. So we ended up on a good note.
Did that include our snow plowing bill yet for December?
No, we're missing
So
December
we're still
snow
missing
plowing
that.
yet.
Okay. All right, good enough. All right. I think we need a motion to approve the financial reports, too.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
Thank you, John. Motion by
I'll
John.
second that.
Second by Chuck. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passed. All right. Oral committee reports, if there are any. Really, anything from you, John or Chuck?
I don't have anything, no.
All right. And there are no printed minutes, so we'll pass on that. We'll go to licenses and permits. So you have in front of you the December report for building permits from Safe Built. If you haven't noticed, in the Safe Built recap of the building, they deleted all of the names from the building permits. So both Linda and I have asked, or I should say I asked Linda and she's asked them to see if they can't include them again so that we have some idea who these people are versus just an address where we don't necessarily can tie back to that activity. So I think that's what they hope to do next month.
Right, they were going to try to furnish us a customized report, which would include the property owner, and I also asked for the contractor.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I guess I do have one thing. If anybody wants to know when Mike Carr is having his
Hearing.
Meeting at the Door County Resource and Planning Committee is Thursday, February 4th.
Okay.
Yes.
Good enough.
Was that, I must have missed that meeting, was that approved by the town, the application?
Yes. He had one in 2013, but didn't get it built. And then, so he had to reapply.
For commercial?
Commercial, correct.
Okay, thanks, John. Update on the Muscat property. As you recall, more than a couple of months ago, we started with sending them a letter regarding the property across the street from the Mill Supper Club, asking for a status and if we could go on the property and make an assessment as to what we have in the way of issues there. We had nothing from them on the first request, I guess, which wasn't a great surprise, but we subsequently did a registered mail piece in December, which we did receive receipts back from both of the parties that we sent the documents to, but as of today, which was actually past our deadline, we'd asked for an update from them, we've heard nothing. So next week, my plan is to personally try and call and talk to them and to see what's up and to see if we can get the okay to go on that property and at least assess what we're dealing with from a fuel perspective, as there are, we think, underground fuel storage tanks. So the plan is to make the phone call, see if we can make any progress on it. At last month's meeting, we received a letter from the Scenic Byways Group, basically expressing concern over the fact that the Scenic Byway begins there, and of course, what you have is probably one of the more unsightly buildings in Door County, right on our main drag. So hopefully we'll get some progress on that. We'll report back next week or next month on that, if anything moves up. Okay. Next item is the meeting schedule. This has been in a state of flux. Obviously, tonight, we were short a couple of members, but had a quorum, so we kept to tonight's schedule. The next move, or I think the thing that we should discuss is combining a couple of the dates, which we, I think, had talked about, and also the potential for moving the November meeting from the 21st to the 28th. And from Linda's perspective, that might not be a bad deal, because with the presidential election, excuse me, she'll have a lot of cleanup to do. So tell me what your thoughts are along those lines. Good, bad, or indifferent?
If you want to address the, right now, the annual meeting is always held on the third Tuesday in April. So we have the annual meeting down for Tuesday, April 19th at 6 p.m.
Right.
Last year, we held the regular board meeting immediately following the annual meeting.
Right.
That seemed to work out well, rather than gathering again for an additional board meeting. So if
Correct.
you're okay with that, we
I'm
could have the
absolutely-
annual at 6 and the town board
To follow.
follow immediately after,
Right.
thereafter.
No, I think that worked out well last year. Do you, either of you have any
Got no
concerns over that?
problem with that.
Okay, so let's leave that as it was last year. We'll just do it again on April 19th. And then the other date, it would be moving the town meeting from Monday, November 21st to the 28th.
Is that that's to get it out of deer hunting?
Pardon me?
Get it away from deer hunting?
Get away from deer hunting, and actually from Linda's perspective with the presidential elections, it'll make it a little easier for her too, because I guess there's quite a bit of follow-up to do. And she's assured us she's going to come back for that, right?
Oh, I will be here for the presidential election, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So we would move that, and
I've
by
got
the...
no problem to move it to the 28th.
I don't believe it is. I think the only issue Linda had was that the tax bills could be delayed maybe a week if we move it to the 28th.
Right. By statute, we're supposed to have the tax bills out by the second Tuesday in December, I believe. So if you had your board meeting on the 28th, we would probably be the last levy to hammer out. And then we could submit our information and have our tax bills probably shortly thereafter.
So what
No
we,
problem.
what we would do there is we would combine the budget hearing and special town meeting on that same date, just like we did at the annual town meeting in April. So all of that would fall on the 28th.
And the board meeting as well, because
Board-
right now we have the board meeting for Monday, November 21st.
Right,
And
that's
that would
what,
interfere too. So we would have
all of
the
it on the
budget hearing,
28th.
the special, and the board, all on
Correct.
the 28th.
I'm sorry if I wasn't clear about that. Yes, all of those would occur on the same night. Based on, when that's what we did this year, it was, I think that worked out fine as well. So, okay. So no concerns, let's try and finalize this and we'll send back out the updated for next month's meeting.
Are we gonna leave the road inspection and the?
Road inspection, I figured we'd leave open because usually we have some flex between the two guys that are still working, you and Tony.
Thank you.
So give you some flexibility with that. I think we'll just wait till we get further into the spring and see what's up.
And then the budget session?
A budget work session, we have not set a date. That usually has to do with somebody's anniversary.
Yeah,
Do you have a date that we can't or suggested?
probably that first week.
How would that work for Linda?
Not the first week?
Not
Not
the
the
first
first.
week, it's like the second week or,
Mid-October is a nice time to have it because we have the numbers from the other entities and, you know, we're close to the end of the year, so we know
Do you wanna
what
set
we
it-
have left and what we've spent.
do you want it on a Monday night? Set it for the 10th of October, which would be the Monday before our October meeting.
How does it work, Linda, for you?
Doesn't matter. Well, we'll probably have a new clerk on board, you know.
Oh, that's true. Well, all right, we can pencil it in
So pencil it in for when?
for the 10th, Monday the 10th, instead of a
October
Tuesday.
10th
Yep.
For now,
at 6 or 7 or?
No, 6, I think. That can get a little lengthy depending on what's happening.
That's the budget session.
Budget work session, Monday, October 10th, instead of, well, we didn't have a date in there. Okay, you all set with that, Linda? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Highway 4257 corridor update. Some of you may already be aware of this, but there's been a discussion going on about the need for roundabouts, not only in Door County, but throughout the state. And Frank Lassay has kind of championed the idea that maybe there should be reprioritization of dollars by the DOT to put money into roads where it's needed versus putting money into roundabouts where it's questionable for the need. Door County's on one of the places. So he has scheduled a listening session on Monday, January, whoops, I got the wrong date here. No, I do, January 25th from 2:30 to 4:30, where he will be talking regarding not only the Eagle Tower, what do I want to call it? Peninsula Park, thank you. The reconstruction, he's looking for input on that, and also he's looking for input on the DOT, and he's invited a wide group of people to attend. I had heard a few weeks earlier that he was on WDOR and expressed some similar concerns about roundabouts. And I wasn't sure from this listening session whether or not he was focused in on Door County alone or everything. So I called his office, got a call back, and he is focused on Door County in particular. He's looking at the YMCA roundabout, the one by the crossroads, is one of his priorities, and roundabouts in general. So if you have a strong feeling about this, my impression is if he can get enough support behind him, he might be able to push this thing back a little. I don't know. I'm just sharing with rumors and what I heard.
Slightly late on the scene, though.
is a little late on the scene as they've managed to trim all the trees right across the street and done other things, but, you know, who knows? The last conversation I had with the fire chief about this topic a number of months back was he was still concerned that he did not think he could get a fire truck across there on a 4th of July weekend. So, you know, there's some legitimate concerns that apparently weren't totally addressed. So, any rate, if you're interested, he's going to be having that listening session, or you can drop a note or call his office or whatever and give him some feedback, but that's what we know so far.
Where's that?
This
Or
one
a fire
is
truck driver can't get a big truck through there. so-
Door County Government Center, room C1112, first floor on Nebraska Street. And if you're interested, by the way, he's also holding this one on the Peninsula Park Eagle Tower, the reconstruction. That's going to be up in Gibraltar, and that's going to be from 2:30 to 4:30 on Monday the 25th.
Mr. Chairman, we plan on recording both of those for cable,
Ah,
if all possible.
okay. I'm sorry, say again? The Eagle Tower is the same day, Monday the 25th, from 2:30 to 4:30. The listening session on the roundabouts is Monday the 25th, from 5:30 to 7:30. So the first one's in Fish Creek, the second one is at Door County Government Center. Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Gerhard Bryce zoning amendment requests and clear-cutting tree plantations. And you have copies of this in your packet. But enclosed is the Resource Planning Committee's denial for the change, the zoning ordinance text amendment that would change the requested yard setbacks for open-sided buildings, which goes back to the, what is that golf course?
It's the pines at the moorings on M.
I'm sorry, Pines at the Mooring, thank you. That's right, right on the next page. Too bad I can't read, huh? Excuse me. So they're recommending denial of that. And then
No, they did deny it.
they did deny it, excuse me.
We recommended denial too.
Yep. And then the next item in there is regarding last month where Rick Gerhardt came and was asking to have his property rezoned so that he could sell or give a small section of it to his neighbor, who would then have his garage and part of his dwelling inside his platted area. So that's coming up at the next board on January 26th. And the last one is the amendment to the zoning map. That's the amendment for Rick. And then the last one is the zoning ordinance text amendment, which allows you to clear cut certain areas if you're going to use it for agricultural use. And that was approved at an earlier meeting of the county supervisors. So, okay. The other one is, I'm going to give to Linda for here. It's just talking about the town's replacement of light fixtures. We have a number of light fixtures throughout the town at selected intersections or locations through businesses throughout the township. And about 6 months ago or so, the Sturgeon Bay Utilities came to us and asked us if we might be interested in replacing some of those with an LED fixture, which has a longer life and better light quality. And Linda did a lot of the work on it, but the gist of it is they came and replaced one last month, but they didn't put in an LED. I'll let Linda explain.
So, right, I received the bill that they had replaced a lamp, and the location slips my mind right now. But I also included the minutes from last February, where the board indicated that the replacement of fixtures will be considered on a case-by-case basis. So my question to the board is, the next time a lamp burns out, can I just give Jason Beery at Sturgeon Bay Utilities the okay to replace it with an LED light? They're more expensive, obviously. They're $250 compared to $15. But they do have a longer life. And I don't know the locations ahead of time. Obviously, we don't know when the street light is gonna burn out. But would you like to try one the next time a fixture is burned out? I think we bumped our budget up a little bit
Good.
for street lighting, just so that we could experiment with a few of the new LED fixtures.
So but the LED has to be a lot more cost efficient, you know, our
Right.
electric bill, right?
Yes,
And then the-
absolutely.
And the
right.
$15 versus the $250 is just to replace a bulb on the old one.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a fixture.
Another comment on it too, is the new fixture is more of a downlight. It shines more where you need the light rather than letting it spread out over the neighborhood, so.
And I think you get more light from the LEDs versus the older ones.
So, the
I
next
would
time.
recommend that we start replacing
Okay.
the fixtures.
Is that a motion?
Want a motion, or do you?
No, I think we have money in the budget. I don't know that we need a motion. I kind of think we actually kind of talked about this enough prior that I think we were all in agreement that we should start. And if in fact we find it to be the right decision, then we might want to come back and budget monies to replace them on an ongoing basis. But I think we could wait for that until we get through one of the next replacements.
So
That we
if
might
it's okay with the board, I will just email Jason at SBU saying, please replace the next burnout with an LED and let us know where it is. And
That's the
then
key.
the board members can take a peek at it.
Please let us know where you
Okay.
put it. All right. Okay, good enough. Next item on the agenda is the Dunes Lake Watershed Project accomplishments. And since Greg Coulter is here from the Door County Soil and Water, you might want to talk about that for a couple minutes?
I believe the last town meeting I attended, I handed out one of these documents, basically saving Dunes Lake. We basically turned that into a newsletter, and at that point, at the last meeting, we were gonna meet with Dave Leist and basically go over this with him prior to sending it out to the entire watershed. So I went to the watershed and the district, since that's what the project area was focused on. And Dave and his representative from the engineering firm, Chad Olson, had a few recommendations for us to change some of the language from, as far as the next steps, as far as building the next, or building a third cell, to exploring the possibility of building a third cell. So, yeah, and I mentioned prior to this, before too, that they had a letter basically saying, don't move forward with grants and such until we get their WPDS permit and they know what they have to meet. That still remains in limbo. Talking with some of the DNR staff, we still say it's on their list to do. So not sure what's happening down in DNR in that regards. So anyways, they wanted some language dulled down a little bit, that they're not committing to build this thing yet. Maybe some other language as to that the sanitary pond wasn't the only contributor of phosphorus, that agriculture was as well. So we changed some of that language. But for the most part, it's largely the same. It went out to 420 residents or households. But again, we've made some big accomplishments with getting every agricultural acre under a nutrient management plan. We're working with a couple of farmers on some harder practices, but again, this went out to try to generate some activity, also to form a friends group, which has been, I'll say, an item on some of the grant applications that would get us more points. That if there is a friends group, we get a point, so to speak, on this federal grant, and we have a likelihood of getting more federal money for other activities like the dredging project. I also mentioned at the last meeting that we were going to apply for 2 coastal management grant applications, and by we, one by the SWCD and one by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Reasoning for that is that the categories, they have one category for public access, and that's the one that we applied for, the SWCD, and you guys made a motion to contribute $1,000 towards that effort. The other one is a dredging activity that we went through the bids this last go-around with some of the existing grants, and we came up about $100,000 short based on those bids to do the pilot dredge. So We applied for coastal management, and that one was 38,500 and some change. And we have preliminary funding approved, recommended for funding. We got that email today, that both of these are recommended for funding. So after January 27th, we'll know for sure, but certainly we made the first hurdle.
So you would get enough money to do the test dredge? Is that what you're
We're getting very
anticipating?
close. We're getting very close. There's another entity that Ducks Unlimited didn't disclose at this point in time, but they said they're willing to narrow the gap. We're estimating about 50,000 might come from that entity, which would leave us about $20,000 short to do the pilot dredge. But we also know that the Doorland Preserve landowners looks like they are or have pledged another $10,000 for this effort. So we're getting very close on completing that pilot dredge, at least the money for that.
Wouldn't Doorland Preserve,
The landowners,
well, the landowners, but wouldn't they literally form their own friends group?
they could, but we're looking for more. The Friends Group don't have to be just landowners.
Right, I understand that, but you got a natural core of people there that you would think would jump on that opportunity.
Yep. We're still getting, we've gotten a few phone calls from that want to join or start the Friends Group, but that letter I think went out 2 weeks ago, something like that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the newsletter. I got an update from TNC at a meeting the other day. They have a grant, a federal grant for treating a lot of invasive plants and species out there. It looks like this summer they're going to treat about 32 acres of invasive cattails, 1 acre of Phragmites, and about 100 acres of buckthorn control. In that on the property of Doorland Preserve and TNC.
Invasive species group?
That's the Nature Conservancy. They've got a grant to do that work. So they're going to contract that out, but they've got a grant to treat that much out there.
And that exists all around the lake?
It's mostly on Doorland Preserve properties, but I think also some of the TNC property. But surrounding that dune lake, it's part of the partners projects out there. So that's a grant they've had for a couple of years. They're looking to extend it maybe into next year, but there's some considerable invasive species work going to be taking place out there this summer.
So stay tuned for end of January, so depending on what's up, we may get an update from you next month, or at least something in a written form.
If we get the grant for the parking lot in particular, then we have to sit down and start designing exactly what we want that thing to look like to accommodate the boat traffic or trailer traffic or whatever. So, a couple of thoughts that we've had out there is to make more of a parallel type of parking, loop type of parking, so that it's not a big square area where people can do donuts, like was potentially suggested last time. So some of those things, and maybe having more like a wood barrier fence, so that people aren't going over outside of that across the line or the landfill. But if we're going to get funding, we got to start exploring the details of that.
If they, obviously with Ducks Unlimited and Doorland and everything else, and a hunter wants to go down there, who's going to be, or as part of this project, the actual clearing of the stream, Vessel's Creek going into the lake?
Right now, there's no clearing needed down the creek. You can get down there right now with a boat.
Okay, depending on the time you find some fruit trees.
The key part of this is that there is an area there where the parking lot would be, where some trees would have to be cleared. Maybe the Friends Group could end up doing that. But there's an area that has to be cleared there to then call it a designated public access for the lake. Right now, with the road where you can park on the side of the road, they will not consider the road right away as a public access, a designated public access. So that's where we've lost points in the past to complete the dredging work. And if we do explore or do install a third cell or do go to the next step of engineering it, that federal funding really is where we need to look.
Okay.
So if we have this parking lot, are they gonna have walking access to that lake, or do you have to be in the water?
It would just be a designated parking area, and they could walk down the side of the road to the creek. So you could pull up to the creek, put your boat in the water or on the side, pull up and drive. Because right now you're limited to, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 vehicles on the side of the road right now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if people wanna walk back there, Is there gonna be a walking trail, or you've gotta be in the water or on the water, right?
The,
Is there gonna be a walking trail?
not through the wetlands, because that cost was, that we estimated was gonna be through the roof. So right now, you could use the edge of the right-of-way or the shoulder to get back to the creek. But to build anything in a wetland is not gonna be, I don't even know if we can.
Portland would not, more likely allow
Well, right, it's all
private
property.
property.
It's all wetland. That's the key. Even if they agreed to do it, you can't build a parking lot. You could possibly build a boardwalk down there, a raised boardwalk, but I think the estimate was close to $10,000 just to build a boardwalk.
Who's, at the end of Poor Road, whose property is it? It butts up at the end of Poor before it gets into the lake.
It's Dorland,
That's all right away, is it?
right at the gate.
Anything else, Chuck? No. Okay, thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, under new business, next item up here is the Whitefish Bay Power Pole. Basically, we have a town-owned power pole down at the Whitefish Bay boat ramp, where the power connections are for the flagpole and for the lights that are down at the boat launch. And with all the fabulous weather that we've had and the storms, et cetera, somehow or another, that wonderful pole fell
Rotted
over.
off in the wind. blew it
So
up.
we're in the process of trying to figure out the best solution to replace the pole so that we can have electricity back down there. WPS came out and disconnected it after the pole broke, and John has been doing some research on the best alternative, so I'll let him tell you the rest of it.
Okay, I got estimate to do the work for a underground service. If we go back to an aerial service, there is no cost for hooking it back up. But we have to put the pole in, get somebody to put all the new meter base and everything in. And the cost for the buried service was $73.28 to bury from public service. And Harv's Electric for option one, which is a, let's see, is this the aerial one? The one on the top is the underground service with 100 amp underground and 100 amp breaker, two 20 amp breakers, and one GFI outlet. And that is $1,528. To do it aerial with the pole, meter, 100 amp panel, two 20 amp circuits, one GFI, is $1,926. And from Stauber Electric for the underground service, it's a 200 amp service that they put a bid in to install. And of course, 100 amp breaker, 100 amp main, and 120 amp circuit breaker. And a 6x6x8 treated post, just so the meter base has some protection.
Okay.
And then you can bolt it to it. And that's $995 for the overhead, for the pole, and everything else is the same, is $1,385. And then at the bottom of the Stauber one, it says for a ground fault receptacle, it would be another $75, which Chuck made a good point that if we're gonna have it, we could just put one receptacle down there in case we need power to work on anything down there.
Okay.
So, and I guess on a further note that I don't know how far along or how many years it'll be, if we go overhead and public service does bury the lines down by us, which they were doing all that drilling and everything, we might have to change it to buried anyhow. So that's why I got the underground bids along, and as it turns out, the underground bids are cheaper.
Okay.
I think if you look at the fine print on both of those estimates, John, it says the power pole is not included in the price.
I know somebody that has a
And-
nice power pole.
The WPS charges are not included either, so.
Correct.
It would make a lot more sense to put the underground.
Yeah, but like, that's where I got the other one that I made you a copy of the one from Public Service. I got an estimate for them to bury the,
This,
yeah,
right,
it's,
Okay.
so it's $73.28 if we go, that's for buried. If we go aerial, they'll just come and hook it up.
like
For
they
nothing.
disconnected it, okay.
Correct.
So it seems like,
Huh?
Pay for the pole?
I know somebody that's got one sitting someplace.
it's a very short pole.
Is
It's
the
the one that's
wire-
broken.
Is the wire underground from the pole to the dock right now?
To the dock, it is.
To the dock, it's underground, correct.
There's a pole, the main WPS pole that's there was actually 5 feet away from our pole, maybe 10 at most.
Right.
I don't know the story behind that or whatever, but
Well-
on that pole was a breaker box.
See, Sturgeon Bay Utilities lets you have the meter base on the poles.
Right.
Public Service does not. You have to have a separate pole with a mast and then the meter and then like that, so
Okay.
that's why they have that.
So I gather you're recommending we take the highest bid?
No. Well, if you take,
You're $500 less with Stauber, roughly, right?
yeah, and then you would add like 150 onto that 995, and that would be for the extra ground fault receptacle and Public Service.
Okay.
So it would roughly be
1150,
1150.
so.
So,
okay.
and that would be what I would recommend to go that way.
Okay. Chuck, otherwise I'm with John, we should just give it to Stauber and let him repair it when the weather cooperates, since we got the power, the lights off down there now anyhow. By choice.
You want a motion?
I don't know if we got money in the budget for this kind of stuff, would we not, Linda, on general
The
maintenance?
park budget, or?
It could come out of the park budget, yeah.
Pretty tight with
We
that.
did,
We have money set aside for that.
We have some money budgeted for the Whitefish
We
Bay
do,
ramp, just
right.
in case there was going to be dredging or thing.
Yeah,
Whatever.
so we'll just use that and leave it at that, so everybody's in agreement. John, you're gonna
I'll take
close
care
the
of it.
loop with Stauber on it?
Yes, so
Okay.
you want the first one, the buried with Stauber,
I'll
plus,
just make a motion. We accept Stauber's bid of $995 for the underground service, plus the $75 for the ground fault receptacle. And Public Service, according to their estimate, it's $73.28, but it could change.
That
depending
could
on the
change,
digging
'cause
conditions, so.
more than likely, it might go up a little bit. There's nothing on there that says if it's a 100 amp or a 200 amp, so. Huh?
You've done the house then.
Well, motorhomes will probably park and plug in now.
Okay.
Well, the
So
Stauber's only going to put the 200 amp underground meter pedestal there.
Right.
He's only putting a 100 amp breaker in it,
Right.
in the panel, so
We'll have more than enough.
the
Okay.
meter would be at 200, the panel would be at 100. So
So you wanna put it in a motion,
I already did make. the
That's
motion,
fine, and
Accept
Linda's-
Stauber's.
Linda's captured that
To
motion?
accept the Stauber bid
Okay.
for underground service, $995 plus $75 for the ground fault receptacle, and plus WPS charges, approximately $73.28, but could change depending on digging.
Okay, and I'll second that motion for a change. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Yeah, see, the things that could change is like between November and April, they charge frost charges if they have to.
Yeah, but we shouldn't have any problem weather-related. I mean, that, I'll see what's up. We do have money in the Whitefish Bay budget for that. in the
All right.
Park ramp.
So do you want them to do it as soon as possible, or?
I think we should do it before Tony gets back.
So that we can take it out of
That way
the
he
park
won't,
budget.
comes out of the park budget, right?
Okay.
Call him tonight. Okay,
Just put it on their
Supervisor
schedule.
Stabenus, you're going to contact, John then, or do you want me to?
I can contact him.
okay, the next item on the agenda is the Whitefish Bay Boat Ramp, and this is more informational than anything else, but with the changing conditions down there and the fact that the lake has been on the upswing, which frankly surprises all of us probably, I have gone about and filed all the necessary paperwork so that we could get a permit to begin dredging or cleaning out the Whitefish Bay Boat Ramp if, in fact, we have adequate water. So I don't want to mislead anybody. Right now, you know, it's, the trend of the lake is down again, but generally in the spring it comes back up. But if we believe that the lake depth is such that dredging would not be a waste of money, we have filed for the necessary permits to be able to do that in early summer. So we've got it on file with the DNR. We've heard nothing back. We submitted it, what, last week, Linda, I think? So I'm sure that'll take a month or two before it works its way through the process, but at least we've initiated that action. So, okay?
I think we should be looking at grants to help out on that project too.
If you have some suggestions.
I had brought one last month.
I don't recall that. I'll have to take a look at it. Maybe I
It was
just,
towards dams, dredging.
oh,
and-
the dam one I was pursuing for Clark Lake Dam. So, okay, we're on I'm with you now. All right, the next item is the Friends of Whitefish Dunes State Park request for donation. And my understanding is that the park would like the town to make a donation towards the purchase of either a tractor, an ATV, a snowmobile, or a large shovel. Something along those lines. And Carl, I guess you've been designated to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. This is Lyndon Boyske, who's president of the Whitefish Dune Friends.
Okay.
Yes, I purpose in having that, and thank you, Linda, for including that with the agenda. My purpose in that is to inform you how important that what an asset this park is to the town of Sevastopol particularly, and the state. Gifford, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Gifford Pinchot. He was, if Teddy Roosevelt had a cabinet, he would have been part of the cabinet. But he was commissioned in about 1905 to tour the country and make recommendations regarding properties that should become public property. And there, to my knowledge, the only property that was recommended for public ownership was the Whitefish Dunes, because those are the highest dunes on the west shore of Lake Michigan. So my purpose in informing you of how important this is, because we wanted to give you the opportunity to make a contribution to something as important as this park. I'm certain that you will appreciate that opportunity.
Should have been here at budget time.
And I just had to send out to you, I strongly firmly believe her. I learned more than telling you about it, so that everything is here. I think, Lynn, you might like to say something and think about it.
I guess my disappointment is in the inability of the Department of Natural Resources Parks Division to have any type of replacement schedule for vehicles or UTVs or tractors or anything like that. The history of it is that the park really has been given kind of a low priority on vehicles or tractors or UTVs, that sort of thing. And what has happened is that equipment has been moved from Whitefish Dunes to other parks, and Whitefish Dunes has basically ended up with some really, in my opinion, unacceptable equipment from other parks that don't serve the purpose for Whitefish Dunes. So the situation really is to me, it's a shared situation. And I think the DNR park system has really failed Whitefish Dunes State Park in providing them with adequate funding or adequate equipment for the park. So in that case, then sometimes it falls on local community to help support the park. And I think that's the gist of what Carl and the Friends Group is looking at for some support for Whitefish Dunes State Park equipment. In lieu of the fact that DNR is, been deficient in that area.
The piece of equipment that we want to replace is a gator. And right now there's 2 gators out there. They're 17 years old. They're the oldest vehicles in the total fleet in Wisconsin, and we have it at our park. It's beyond, I mean, it's reached its age limit. And we felt that replacing at least one of these units would be most beneficial for the park. They'd get the most use out of it. Fred Visti, our park manager, met with someone at Mays, and John Deere offers a fleet price for all the parks. So they came up with a really good price for us, and we're actively doing fundraising right now. We have a grant that's available to us. We need to match those funds and raise additional money.
Just out of curiosity, have you approached the town of Jacksonville?
That we haven't, but we consider that too.
They claim Whitefish Dunes State Park is in their town. For everything on the scenic byways, at least, that I would get them first, just since their brochure indicates they own it.
Most of the park is in the town of Sevastopol.
You know, Carl, I fully understand that, but for some reason or another, Jacksonport assumed that it's all theirs when they did the scenic byway brochure.
Maybe you could annex.
We have Dunes Lake, according to them, so.
In addition, I have a copy of the resolution designating I call it the room tax for indebtedness purposes, which is great. When this was originally passed, I think the room tax was about 40,000 or so. Now it's 82,000. And I see you have a clause there saying unless for any other purpose, unless again redesignated by resolution of the town board. So you have that opportunity apparently to redesignate some of that room tax money, which this year is about 82,000.
You know, you complimented us on our town hall, and the resolution that we have is that room tax pays for this little beauty, and it still has a few years to run.
Yeah.
So we won't be redirecting those dollars, I assure you.
Yeah. But when you passed it, it was 40,000.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
It is an option.
But that means we pay out the town hall faster.
I would think it'd be nice if you wanted to be a major part of the Whitefish Dunes State Park, that you indicate that you were willing to designate some of that money. And initially I know that I thought that the room tax was supposed to be for recreation or tourism. But
It is.
80% is, and that goes to the Door County Visitor Center.
yeah,
The 30% that the town collects
yeah,
can be used for whatever the town chooses.
Discretion.
And when we joined that organization, and the money started coming in, it was the same time we were building this building. And we took the resolution that the room tax dollars would be used to pay the mortgage on this building until it was paid off. The mortgage this year, or for 2015, with interest, was over $100,000. And we have, I believe, 3 more years on that mortgage. 4 years on that mortgage.
I don't think your tractor will make it to 21. Maybe.
Question I wanted to ask, when you buy this tractor, who owns it? What's gonna prevent the DNR from deciding they wanna take it to another park?
The equipment that's there now, the SUV or the ATV that's there, it's been there for 17 years. We can stipulate, I believe,
Oh, but
that.
you put a brand new one out there, and then you're gonna see somebody.
Well,
else
I think we
to
can
take
make
it.
some stipulations that it's gotta stay there. I mean, we provide, we buy it, they maintain it, and do the repairs on it.
We still own the snowmobile and will not give that to the DNR.
Chuck, you mentioned the visitor center. Didn't the visitor center do something a couple of years ago regarding snowmobile trail maps, which originally they thought might have been within their realm of possibility, and they ended up funding some of that? And you were involved with snowmobiling, aren't you? Did they end up doing that, do you recall?
That I'm not sure.
No.
I'm no
For
longer
some
on the
reason-
board, so I'm not.
For some reason, it's a possible resource. But from my perspective, even though Jacksonport claims to have Whitefish Bay dunes in their town, it is within our town, and I do think it does contribute. Certainly, it's a draw, and one of the things that bring people into our community and stay here. Problem is, it's also an unbudgeted item, so that presents an issue. And if we were to dedicate funds to that, I believe we have to be, 3/4, 4/5, 7/8? We have to do something at a board. Is it 2/3 of the board has to agree to spend on budgeted, to reassign?
Right, or reallocate from another category. And we do have a culture and recreation, we have those budget line items,
Right.
but nothing specific.
No, it would be
For
nice
Whitefish
if
dunes.
the board made some commitment in the future that a certain part of that room tax would go toward Whitefish Dune. I'm not asking it now. I understand that it would not be logical for you to grant us 20,000 or whatever it might be, but it would be nice if this board recognized what an asset that park is, and the number of volunteers and people who donate. Just recently, Dick Boldman donated the materials for another
Your enclosure.
exposure. They just finished that, and it's kind of embarrassing to have lots of good volunteers and then not having equipment they can use. Most of them don't know how to use a wheelbarrow.
Well, I understand that because as part of the Whitefish Bay Association, we donated funds to provide gravel for the walking trails.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any equipment to spread the gravel, so it sat in the parking lot. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and maybe two other sources for you to contact would be the Whitefish Bay Association, or even three, Bay Shore and Glidden Drive Association, since all three of those encompass, as you remember yourself.
The Whitefish Bay Association is donated to the park.
Yeah, I know, I'm part of that. So,
I
anyway,
don't think you should underestimate the appreciation that the board has toward that park. I mean, it is a very important part of our community. What you have to understand, I think, is you're coming in and asking for donations. These should have been brought around at budget time and things could have been planned in. A budget is set, and Sevastopol runs a very tight budget. And, so
That's what I pointed out, I didn't expect that. No, but I expect that you make some commitment on your future budget, because that would help us, I'm certain, in raising money.
Well, when the budget meetings are held, that would be the time to come and make your requests. And those are public meetings, they're posted, so everybody should, will know that when that time comes. And,
we'll bring our professional lobbyists.
I guess I would be with Chuck too. Who would actually own this? That would be my concern.
As a member of the Friends group, I would strongly recommend that the Friends retain ownership of any equipment that they purchase for the park, as we do with the snowmobile right now. Because being past president of the Friends group, we would never turn that ownership over to the DNR.
And then DNR would do the upkeep on it?
They do the maintenance and repairs.
Because there's a few rent-a-rangers that come out there that are cowboys.
One of the reasons we're asking now is we didn't realize that the state was going to shortchange all the state parks the way they have.
With all the budget cuts.
With the budget cuts, we don't even have a naturalist. There's money for a naturalist, so we have to raise money for a naturalist. But that's Madison.
Well, my take on it would be is that I think we carry it over to next month, give the board members, unless they feel strongly or different, but give them a chance to think about what, if any, action we might want to take, and we can take a look at our,
Could scrutinize the budget, see
Budget,
if there
see-
isn't something there that,
see what might exist. Pardon me?
Acknowledgement of the fact that we could ask for money in your next year's budget.
Right.
Maybe if Tony misses again, we can get more out of the parks budget.
I think we'll just, unless somebody has a different feeling, we'll carry it over to next month. We'll have a discussion.
Can you raise
Find
your
out
hand and
what's-
talk, or is that not allowed?
You can talk very quietly,
I'm
though.
not sure, I'm just so new to this,
Really?
but, yeah, or coming to these meetings. But again, I want to thank you all for, giving up a valuable night, with your family and that, to come and do these board meeting type things. And I want to reiterate what Carl had said about the letter, and that's why I'm here, Linda, because I read the newspaper, he gets such cute articles in here. But I saw about the Friends group would like to involve local residents to explore the public access and schedule a free canoe trip for our county. And that's why I came here, because I'm like, boy, if I can volunteer to do that, to get kids and families canoeing and doing all that. I didn't realize I was getting involved in this heated discussion.
It's hard to heat it. This is not heated.
Well, not heated, this is light. But,
Yeah, usually.
Whitefish Bay Sand Dunes, I'm an old fart. Whitefish Bay Sand Dunes is Sevastopol,
if you want to
I
volunteer to paddle to canoe.
Oh,
Greg is
I'll
on
volunteer
that
right there, and I wanna know what the dunes, Dunes Lake, where in the heck is that? I can't wait to see this guy afterwards. But Jacksonport has, the polar plunge, Sevastopol has Whitefish Bay Sand Dunes, that is ours. I absolutely love the Whitefish Bay Sand Dunes. It is my home every single morning. I was there this morning, I'm there with my dog every day, that black loop. It is ours. It is Sevastopol's, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care who puts it on the map. It is Sevastopol's, and we should toot our horn with that. Sevastopol should toot our horn. This is ours. So anything we can do to help that out, I'll do anything. I'll sell brats, I'll do a ski, so I'll do anything to help. Because I know what the state has done to cutting cuts. And now not to have a naturalist? Our kids, our youth is on beep-beep machines. Our kindergartners are on beep-beep machines. I see it all day long. They're not out there snowshoeing, walking, canoeing, doing all that. But I was there, today's Monday, I was there yesterday, sunny morning, below zero, and I pulled in there with the dog on the black loop. Yes, it had a leash on it. And here comes one of my students, Erin Gallagher. I haven't seen her in 20-something years, and she's with 3 kids. And her husband and one of the men stayed in the car, too cold. And I'm like, I complimented her. I says, wow, you're taking your kids out in this cold weather, and they're all with their really cute hats, and they're gonna go look at the caves. And I says, that is so cool. You know what I said to the kids? Hey, do you have school tomorrow? They says, no, because they didn't have it for Martin Luther King, so they're down in the Chicago area. I says, you write a report on how, you went outside in this sub-zero weather, and you were at the dunes, take a picture with your parents' Smarty Pants phone. You show them the caves. You teach them what you did. That's how cool it was for me, and I got so excited to see this family out there enjoying the outdoors in the sub-zero weather, but having a ball. And that's what us Sevastopol, we've got to promote. This is ours, man.
Well, we realize it's ours.
This is
I was
ours,
only
yeah.
joking about the fact that Jacksonport has claimed it. It is not.
Mr. Chairman.
I don't know, but they got their
But
border
we're
plunge.
going to carry it over.
Add relief to what Cassie just said. This was a Saturday Press Gazette. They have What Makes You Wisconsin Proud. And they had 5 items listed. Number 1, the sites of beauty in the Wisconsin State Parks. That's above the Packers.
It's above the
That
Packers.
indicates.
That was a typo,
It was a
Carl.
fan, no, it was a fan.
Is that after the game or before the
There was
game?
somebody from Sobieski. Can you imagine? But that's interesting, isn't it? Someone from Sobieski would have that in that Press Gazette.
Okay, well, we,
Under the 5 state parks.
Or 5 in Door County, and 1 national trail.
okay, we will bring this back next month. We'll find out what, if any, flexibility we have, and we invite you to return if you like, or we'll put it on our agenda for next month and follow through.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for your interest. And please go to Jacksonport and remind them where the park is, but you can also ask them for money, because they have it on their brochures. Okay? So there you go.
One last question.
The park is in their brochure?
Oh, yeah. On the scenic byways documentation, they claim,
Yeah.
yeah. I know, but there's an opportunity for you to go and ask, since
Are they
they,
right on the boundary?
yeah, they're right on the boundary.
Well, most of it's in
Yeah.
Sevastopol there, it's on that,
Correct.
to the north.
This equipment would not necessarily, or actually be a tractor, then you're looking for a gator?
I've got handouts for that if you want to next month.
No, I just want to make myself clear that it's not a tractor, it's a gator.
I don't know.
Okay.
A tractor, a mule, and an ambulance, that's all we need.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have
And anything else?
approval of vouchers, claims, bills, etc. So I think everybody has seen them.
I'll make a motion to
Sign.
approve the vouchers, bills, and claims for December 22nd, 2015 through January 18th.
No, I'll second that motion.
Motion by John, second by Chuck, to approve the vouchers, bills, and claims. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried, thank you. All right. Ordinances and resolutions. You have before you a resolution created by our town clerk, Linda, which is a change in the appointment of elected officials. So Linda, would you like to talk about that for a minute?
Yes, the clerk does have the option to supplement her election inspectors list from time to time. It was approved by the board last month, and I came up with an additional name, Cindy Visti. That way we would have 3 chief election inspectors. Just sometimes there's conflicts, like a poll worker, perhaps their spouse is on the ballot, in which case they could not work an election. And that, so Cindy Visti has agreed to take the chief inspector baseline and to be an additional poll worker if and when needed.
Okay, great. Sounds
Move that
acceptable.
we approve resolution 06, 2015 TB, the appointment of Cindy Visti as an election official.
I'll second that.
Such an interesting motion to approve by Chuck, seconded by John. Boy, those get boring when you have a 2-person town board. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. All right, there we go. Last few items here. We have correspondence, and in your packet is it's from the Assistant Fire Chief, Kalen. You have the Sturgeon Bay Fire Report, which talks to everything in there. You have a letter to Richard and Dottie Chappelle, who donated $100 to the Sevastopol first responders, thanking them for their gift. They've done this a couple times, and it's very generous of them, and thank them for that effort.
Very appreciative.
There's a notice of timber cutting, which turns out to be a portion of Dunes Lake, or the Dunes Lake area by the
Heverly.
by the lake, yes. That's, by Dorland Preserve is the owner. So notice of that in there. Nature Conservancy sent us $100 for providing protection for their property through the fire department. And we've received that from them over multiple years. This one is a change back basically from the DNR. We used to have Carrie Webb as the water person for the DNR that we worked with for like Clark, Whitefish Bay, and others. They transferred her away, and they put in place Sarah Atkins, and this letter is basically telling us that Sarah's now taking over new geography, and we have Carrie Webb back. So she's actually the gal that's got the application for the dredge permit at this time. So we'll see what happens there. So everything in there. Next on announcements, we have election inspector training on Thursday, February 11th at 1 p.m. at the town hall. Our next meeting, Board of Supervisors meeting, is Monday, February 15th at 7 p.m. The spring primary election, Tuesday, February 16th, polls open at 7 a.m. and go till 8. And Linda, what is on that election?
For the town of Sevastopol, the only thing on the February 11th, or I'm sorry, February 16th election will be the race for the Supreme Court Justice. There are 3 candidates, and we need to narrow that down to 2 candidates for the April 5th election.
So there's nothing else in the county on?
There are other municipalities that have races, but
not us.
That is the only thing on our ballot.
Okay, and then there's a notice here that the office is going to be closed for a vacation by the clerk. Did we authorize that at this meeting?
I don't know, but it's also going to be closed from Wednesday through Sunday of this week, so.
Okay, please make note. Linda
Wonder
will
who
be
the
in a
bosses
warm,
are
you're gonna be in a
here.
warm climate like La Crosse?
In February, well, this coming week
This
I'll be
week.
in La Crosse, but in February I will definitely be in a warm climate.
Okay, well deserved, no problem with us.
21 till when?
February 21st through the 29th, I will be out on vacation.
It's down on the bottom of the agenda, Chuck, too, if you missed it. Okay, that's it for the announcements. Agenda items for next month, we will bring back the request for funds from the Whitefish Bay Association, pending how they do with Town of Jacksonport. Okay, maybe not. Well, either way. Anything else that we want to bring back?
Musket,
Oh, yes. We'll have an update on the Muscat property, whether they're taking phone calls or not, we'll find out. And we will be getting out, we can just email out the meeting schedule? Okay, and because Tony and Leo obviously aren't here. Okay. If that is it, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that one.
Thank you. Motion by John, seconded by Chuck. To adjourn the meeting, all in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried.